Pilgrim statistics. What are the most popular Camino routes? When do most people walk? How many people walk? These and many questions are often asked online, and I thought I would show you exactly where to find all of this information this week, coming right up. So this week we're going to be talking about Pilgrim statistics. Why? Well, lots and lots of questions online are about how busy is it, when is a good month to go to avoid the crowds, how many people walk different Caminos, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to show you where all that information comes from. It comes from the Pilgrims office in Santiago, and we'll have a look at their website. So I just Google Pilgrims Office Santiago and it comes up. It's actually, the website is called oficinadelperegrino.com. And here we go. Here's the home page. So 2,279 pilgrims arrived yesterday. That's a lot. That's back to pre-COVID levels, if not above. Of course, this year is a holy year, isn't it? The Pope extended 2022 or 2021 for another year, I think. So here's the home page. Not a huge amount of information on there. Let's have a quick look across the menus at the top. The record page, I think, is about privacy of information. The Pilgrims office, which we'll look at in a minute, we've got information and statistics. We'll come back to that in a second. Then we've got, under pilgrimage, some introduction, things about pilgrims generally, what the Holy Year is all about, talks about the Compostela and the Credencial. We'll go and have a look at that in a second. And then we've got pages about preparation and those sorts of things. And you'll notice at the top here I've clicked the Union flag to get English. I don't want to go and click it now because I'm recording this, but I think it's only in Spanish and English. I'm not sure. You might find other languages. Okay, so let's go and have a look at some of the pages. So this one, it talks about the Compostela. So this is the certificate that you get from the Pilgrims office to say that you have fulfilled your obligations in walking the Camino. Now, I'll draw your attention to this because there's lots of questions online about this. How many stamps a day do I need? How far do I have to walk? How far do I have to go if I'm on a bike? It's all on here, and this is, the official updated information. So, to get the Compostela, you must, here we go, make the pilgrimage for religious or spiritual reasons, or at least an attitude of search. So they ask you that when you go and get your certificate. What were the reasons that you walked? You get a slightly different certificate, that's all. You have to do the last 100 kilometers on foot or horseback, and the last 200 if on a bicycle, and then it tells you you must get 2 stamps per day during that last 100 kilometers. There's a bit about children and so on. So there we go. That's all about the Compostela. If you have any questions about that, go to the font of all knowledge. Then we have the Pilgrims Credencial. So this is otherwise known as the Pilgrim's Passport. It explains all about that, where you get them, the purpose of them. You get it stamped so that you can show your progress along the Camino. It also allows you to stay in, allows you to stay in albergues. Not all albergues, I think, will check or ask to see your credential, but I think the religiously funded ones and the state-funded ones, it's kind of a condition that you have to be a pilgrim and you show this. Generally, everywhere you stay, I mean, you rock up and they want to see it to stamp it for you anyway. So this tells you all about the credential and what's. Then we've got a little bit here about the certificate of distance. I generally get one of those as well as my certificate. It's a nice memento. Shows you, basically says how far you've walked. And then we come to the statistics, and this is the interesting bit. Now, I played around with this a little bit. This page seems to be a little bit fickle or a little bit sensitive. So a couple of times I went on here and the drop downs didn't appear to work. So what we'll do is I've set it up here and we'll have a look at this page and then I'll show you what some of the options are. So basically at the top here you'll see we can download a report for a whole year. So all of the statistics aggregated for a 12-month period. And then one that I quite often look at here is statistics by month. So here I've picked 2022 and I've picked the 5th month being May, just to show you what sort of information you get on here, and it's really interesting. So of all of the pilgrims in that month, I'm not sure if further down it'll tell us, give us a total of pilgrims for that month. This is basically the continents they come from. So 37,000 from Europe, North America 5.5, South America 3,200, Asia 1,200 and so on. Oceania 286, that's us over here in Aussie and New Zealand and other places. Then after continents, países, how do you pronounce that? I'm not sure. Someone say down below. Countries. So Spain is at the top with 18,000. Alemania, Germany, Estados Unidos, United States. My experience growing up in the UK of watching the Eurovision Song Contest allows me to understand some of these. It's Italy, Portugal, Reino Unido, that must be UK, France, Irlanda, Ireland. So it gives you all the breakdown here of, and the rest at the end, 4,000. So you can see straight away that most of the pilgrims walking the Camino are Spanish. It's a big thing in Spain. People like to do it, to have it on their CV, all sorts of reasons. I think a lot of school kids do it for the experience. A lot of schools organise it. So you can see the countries that people walk from. I will have a go at downloading the annual stats because I think they have the full list. Because I can remember when Pat first walked, we downloaded it to see how many people from Thailand did it. Then we've got comunidades, my awful pronunciation I'm sure, which are the states, if you like, of Spain. So we've got, extranjero, I don't know where that is. And then we've got Madrid, Andalusia, Galicia, so on, so which states, or the, what do they call them, autonomous communities, where have they come from? Then we've got mode. Okay, so 45,000 were on foot, 2,800 were on bike, so it gives you a sort of rough idea of the forms of transport. Caballo, by horse, we had 77. Is that 1L, or I've got to lean forward? Silla de Ruedas, that's wheelchairs, I think, 19, and Bela is by boat, 14. Not quite sure how you do a Camino by boat. You can. I think that's coming from Ireland or places like that. Okay, and then Presidencias is start point. So if you're kind of one of these people who are thinking, you know, where should I start from and where do most people start from? Do they all start from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port? Nope, they don't. Most start in Sarria, just under 13,000 during the month of May this year. And then Oporto on the Portuguese, Saint-Jean, 4,300, so that's actually quite a lot. I think as a percentage, that's probably more than in previous years. Tui, which is down on the border of Portugal. I think Tui is the shortest distance. It's the equivalent of Sarria, but on the Portuguese Camino. You know, it's the, what do you call it, minimum distance for a Compostela. My brain's not working. Ferrol is on the Ingles, Oviedo, that's on the Camino Portuguese, and then which we've got from León, which is on the Francis, of course, Ocebrero, Lugo, these are all Roncesvalles, they're all on the Camino Francis. That's interesting. 735 from Roncesvalles, which is just on the Spanish side of the Pyrenees, and you've got Saint-Jean 4,300, starting from there, doing that first stage over the Pyrenees, and then Roncesvalles 735 starting there. A lot of the Spanish start from Roncesvalles if they want to come and do that long one. Ponferrada, Astorga, Le Puy, so it's a real long one. I think that's 800 k's before you even get to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. I'd like to do that one day. So that's the start points. Then we've got the Caminos. Now, here we go. Which is the most popular one? This one here on the right, the Camino Frances, almost 26,000 in May alone walked the Camino Frances. Then the Portuguese. There's two versions of the Portuguese. We've got the Costa Camino Portuguese then, which is the coastal version. The one above that, I presume, is the inland. Then we've got the Primitivo, the Ingles. I'm going to try and tack on the Ingles onto my next Camino. So I'm going to, if my legs hold out, I'm hoping to walk the Via de la Plata, and then I've kept a few days spare at the end, if I don't use them up for sort of injury. And I might walk the Ingles at the end of it, so sort of put in another one. Via de la Plata, so 1,200 people in May alone finished on the Via de la Plata. Other Caminos, we've got the Machia Finisterre one, Invierno. Oh, the Invierno, 134. I'm hoping to do that this next time as well. So that gives you an idea of the sort of numbers and proportions of people on the various Caminos. Now, one thing to remember with these statistics, and so let's pick an example. Let's say you're going to be walking from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port and you're thinking, let's scroll back up, how many people started there? In May, 4,304 completed their Camino in May, having started at Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. That means they started probably in April. You get that? So you've got to allow, if you're thinking, do lots of people start the Camino in May from Saint-Jean, you probably want to start looking at June, July completion records to get an idea. So if you were going to do that, let's, and I think I probably did this when I did my first Camino from Saint-Jean, I would look at the annual records and the monthly records, and I'd see how many completed the Camino Frances who started in Saint-Jean by month, and then basically deduct a month, and that tells you how many were starting from Saint-Jean in those given months. Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded an explanation. So we got to the various Caminos, then what have we got? 6. This is generally pretty much 50-50. Mujer, 25,000. Hombre, 22,000. The ladies are in front for May 22. So it's generally around the sort of 50-50 level. And age. Have a look at this. This is interesting. 30 to 60 years, above 25,000 people. Over 60, 15,000, and then under 30, 7,000. So what's that? About 50% of people are between 30 and 60. And I'm trying to do the maths off the top of my head. It looks like well over 30% are over 60. And as a percentage, under 30, I'm looking at that roughly, maybe 20%. So that gives you a little bit of a flavour, and certainly from the 3 times I've done it, yeah, it's kind of an older crowd generally on the Camino. I mean, lots of young people there, but you know, there's the stats. It's probably middle-aged, older people who tend to have the time to do it, perhaps. And then we've got the reason, the motivation for doing it. So for religious purposes, 19,000. Religious and other 18,000, and non-religious 10,000. So that gives you that. And then grupos. This I think is just referring to different groups who walk it. Yeah, so it looks like teachers, students, that sort of stuff. I think if I've got that wrong, do comment down below. So there we go. That's all I wanted to show you this week. A great website, just Google Pilgrims Office Santiago or Oficina del Peregrino. Quite interesting if you're into, detailed planning. Oh, I said I was going to show you some of the other things. So let's have a look and see if we can do a 2019 full report. So 2019 would have been the full year prior to COVID. We can see what one of those looks like. So we can see the stats here. We've got the percentages. 94% of people on foot. So this is 2019 aggregated results. 5.5% are basically doing it on bikes. By age, we've got 30 to 60 is 54%. countries. Here we go. We've got the full list of countries. 42% from Spain. Where's Australia? Can't see Australia. Oh, there we go. No, we're fairly well up the list. 1.5%, but there's 5,300 of us. Pales into insignificance with some of the others. United States, 20,000. UK would be quite high, I think. What's the UK in Spanish? I've forgotten that one. Ah, there we go. Reino Unido, 2.6%. So there's all the countries. So lots and lots of those. I won't waste time by looking for Thailand. This is then the sort of Spanish states where people started off from. Then we've got the Camino. So 54% in 2019 walked the Camino Frances, then the Portuguese 20%. So the one I'm doing next, Via de la Plata, 2.5% back then. I think it's getting a bit more popular. And the one that's interesting to watch is the Invierno. That, in the last couple of years, has started to become more popular because it's not as busy. And then these are the start points. So Saint-Jean, 9.5% of people started there, 27% from Sarria. What have we got here? Oh, professions. That's interesting, isn't it? Oh dear, I should have looked up the Spanish for these. I'm suspecting that's just employees, 23%, students, 18%. Liberales. Sounds good, not sure what it means. Wonder if it means retired. Yeah, I won't try and guess what some of those are. Oh, that's the end of it. So there you go. Look, there's the annual thing. So do have a look at some of those statistics. It's quite interesting from a Camino planning point of view. I would say, if you want to look at stats for planning your Camino, there's probably two things to look at. One is this, really to just get a sense of what are the busiest months. And I can tell you without needing to look at the stats for the Camino Frances, May and September are the peak periods. May because, it's earlier than that, it's a little bit cold and wet, although I tend to generally go in April. So May, the weather's getting nice. That's when a lot of people start walking. During the summer, it can be a bit hot, and then getting towards the end of August, September, it's cooling off a little bit, and that's another really popular period before we start getting into autumn and winter. So May and September are popular months for the Camino Frances, so do bear that in mind for your planning. If you're starting from places like Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, the first few days are a little bit of a choke point for reservations during those busier periods, during May and September. So, you want to be booking in Saint-Jean well ahead. You want to be booking Roncesvalles. You can book hotels and the albergue there. Zubiri definitely fills up during busy periods. Once you get beyond Pamplona, it sort of opens up a bit, then everybody starts to spread out a bit. But bear those things in mind, if you're walking in a sort of a peak time or not. So that's, some of the stats to look at. The other thing that if you've never walked a Camino before, I spent quite a bit of time looking at weather patterns, historical weather. And I've shown you on another video how to access that. How cold is it generally in April, May? It's not going to be precise, but you'll get an idea. How warm is it actually in June, July? Pretty warm. That's why I don't walk then. So there we go. I'm rambling. That's a good signal to stop. Statistics. Pilgrims Office, Santiago. You've got all the statistics you want. Thanks for watching. Bye for now, and see you next week.